Alright, welcome to the tutorial to walk you through the AIO Simulator. This is going to be very helpful for you to be able to compare side by side what the AIO could do for you compared to a loan you're looking at or the loan you're already in. So to get started, and we've got to do this walkthrough because some of this is intuitive, some of it's not. So I'll go as quick as I can and hopefully it's helpful. We're going to get started with a new simulation. If you have an old one that you're trying to just tweak some variables on, just enter the code right there. But we're going to start with a new one, hit go, and we want to compare this to either a new loan. This is if we're looking at a purchase, or existing if we're looking at a refi. We'll do a refi for now, and let's say it's a primary residence. All right, estimated home value. Let's call that $600,000, and we still owe $400 on it. So we've only got $200 in equity. And we're in a 30-year fix right now, and that's at, let's say it's a 4.5% interest rate. Let's say we're a year into that loan, it's going to automatically populate the P&I payment according to that balance at that interest rate. If you had a second a lien or a HELOC, you could put it in there. If you're making extra monthly payments, put it in there and go to next. Now we're going to deposits. The key for this is to put actual numbers in what hits your checking account. Okay, so if you make $120,000 but you take out 20 to put in retirement, then don't put 10,000 in here. What number hits your checking account and how often does it do that? Let's say I make 10,000 a month, so 120,000 is hitting my checking account. One-time deposit is what kind of funds are sitting around in liquid accounts right now that aren't really doing much for you that could go into the all-in-one. Let's say that you have 50,000. Okay, this is savings accounts, checking accounts, HSAs, 529s, anything like that. Not retirement funds, just liquid funds that could be brought into the all-in-one as soon as that checking account is opened. That's what we'll put there. If you had annual bonuses that you got, you could put it in as a repeating deposit. If there was going to be a one-time insurgence of cash, you could put that in there, but we'll leave all that alone for now. Now we're going to get to spending. Average monthly deposits, we said it's 10 grand. Average traditional loan payment that we're looking at in our current 4.5% 30-year fix is estimating for taxes and insurance. You can tweak that if you want. And this is the key number, the percentage that's left over. What percentage of my budget is left over? So do I spend $8,000? That's what those numbers combine to basically. Do I spend that every month? Or do I spend less than that? Let's say I only spend $7,000 a month and I have 30% left over. If I have future one-time expenses, I can put those in here. Let's say I need to take out $20,000 in a year to get a new car. You could put that in there. We're not going to do that for now. Just keep it simple. Calculate results and we'll see where we're at. Okay, with these numbers, the all-in-one would save, it would save you $235,000. Goodness gracious. Save you $235,000 and save you 22 years. You're paying $81,000 in interest instead of $316,000. But there's a few things we still need to do. This margin is actually, it defaults to a number that's too high. 3.5 is higher than our par. You could actually say, well, what if I wanted to buy that rate down? You can do that. Let's say you pay a point to get it down to 3% margin. And you'll see over here the index, that's current numbers. Initial rate, that's our margin plus that index. Here's the floor, that's accurate. Max is 6 points higher than it starts, that's accurate. And now we can say, well, how conservative do we want to be in these estimates? Historical average rate, 5.196. We're above that right now in our country. So I wouldn't feel good about keeping that there. I would say let's actually go up to something more realistic. So initial rate plus 1%, 6.787. Let's see what happens if we compare this to that. Okay, we are paying a little bit more in interest because we said it's not 5.1, it's 6.7. We're paying $15,000 more in interest in this more conservative estimate. But look, we're still saving $220,000 in interest. We're still saving 22 years. Now, this is where things get really interesting. This is an important screen. Here's the numbers I want you to see. The comparison loan effective APR. That means what kind of a loan would you need to get to be able to compete with the AIO? You would need to get a 30-year 1.494. That doesn't exist. And even if it did, it'd still take 29 more years. The other thing that you want to see is this break-even rate, 13.239. That means every month that the rate in the all-in-one is below 13.239, you're winning. Let's say everything, the bottom drops out on the economy and interest rates shoot up to 18%. Well, your ceiling, remember, your cap is 11.9. So it can never go above 11.9, and the break-even rate is 13.2. That means there's never going to be a month where the all-in-one is worse for you than this 4.5% 30-year fixed. I want to show you one more thing. This is the pay down table, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not planning on paying my house down. I'm not going to be in it for 7.4 years, so I don't really care if I don't pay it off. All right, well, let's say you're just in it for 5 years. At the end of 5 years, here's an AM schedule. Let's see what happens if you were in the all-in-one versus your traditional. 5 years in, you will have paid $261,000 towards your principal in the all-in-one. Over here, you've not even paid $40,000. Let that sink in. That is 6.5 times more principal. Here's why that's a big deal. Let's say you sell that house in 5 years. All right, it's appreciated, and let's say now it's worth $700,000. It'll be worth more than that in 5 years, but let's say it's just worth $700,000. When you sell that house in 5 years, if you've got this thing paid down to $140,000, well, you can see how much equity you're going to make. You're going to make $540,000 in profit when you sell that house. Over here, you're going to make $340,000, $200,000 more in profit that you will make when you sell that house if you were in the all-in-one. That's a big deal. Over here, you have just given a ton of money to the bank. You've paid all that interest. Look how little your balance has gone down. If we keep going, let's go to 6 years. It's even worse. 6 years, you owe $86,000 versus $353,000. 7 years in, you owe almost $30,000 versus $344,000. See, this is where it just gets really ridiculous. 8 years in, of course, you've paid off the house. Month 89, here you still owe $340,000. Here's why that's a big deal. We're looking at the cost of this loan, but we need to always remember the opportunity cost of not being in this loan, because if in year 8 you've paid this house off and you continue to put the same amount of money into an investment now that it's not going into a mortgage, and you get modest returns, over here you're still paying interest on this amount for the next 22 years. Okay, over here you're not paying any interest. Instead, you're earning interest by putting that money into a retirement account for the next 22 years. You'll have about $750,000 saved up. Okay, it's not just showing you the cost of the all-in-one versus the other. That's what this is showing. But what it doesn't show is the opportunity cost. That's what I want you to think about as we prepare for our conversation. And I hope that was helpful. When you get to the end of this, just click Save and Share. Download the PDF. Whoopsie daisy. You click Download PDF. It's going to make a document for you. You can send that to me in email. And this has all of those variables that you entered. So I'll be able to see all of those. It even has the retrieval code right there. We can pull it back up and look at it and manipulate it in real time. So what happens if you only have 20% left over instead of 30, right? What if you pull out $50,000 in 5 years to travel around the world? Be a nice trip. It's going to show you all of those results, and you can keep recalculating according to, let's say you get a new raise, you get a big pay raise at work. No longer are you making $10,000 a month, you're making $12,000 a month. Well, that's great. Enter it and see what that does to the sim. Every one of these variables is creating these results, and these are pretty good results. They're actually pretty average results. Our average client saves about 30% of whatever they owe on their home. No, this is right about there. So hope that's helpful. Good luck with the sim, and I look forward to connecting soon.